Kaley Cuoco was living her dream. Penny from The Big Bang Theory made her one of TV's highest-paid actresses. She earned over $150 million and seemed unstoppable. But behind the cameras, something was breaking. In 2022, she walked into her trailer and did something that shocked everyone on set. She gathered her producers and said words that changed everything. What happened next reveals the dark truth about her final years on the show. The latest reports about her condition are heartbreaking. This isn't about money or fame anymore. Kaley Cuoco was born on November 30, 1985 in Camarillo, California, only about 50 miles from Los Angeles. And the closeness to Hollywood shaped her life even before she understood what that meant. Her father, Gary Cuoco, worked as a real estate agent, and her mother, Lane Wingate, stayed home with the kids, carrying her English and German roots into the family's quiet routines. Life felt normal in many ways, but the entertainment world was always nearby, and it pulled her in earlier than anyone expected. By age 6, she had already stepped in front of a camera for the television movie Quicksand, No Escape, and was doing commercials whenever she could. Those early auditions came easily because LA was right there. And each small job pushed her a little closer to the path that would one day define her. It was a soft beginning, something simple. Yet, it laid the base for a career that would soon become impossible to ignore. Even before acting took over, her parents pushed her to try everything. At 3 years old, she picked up a tennis racket and fell into the rhythm of it fast. Junior tournaments came one after another. And by the late 1990s, she was ranked among the top amateurs in Southern California. She finished the 1998 year-end as number 56 in girls 14 singles and number 12 in doubles, which was impressive for someone who was also running to auditions. Still, she never stopped appearing in commercials. Never slowed down the movement between sets and tournaments. The mix of sports and acting trained her to stay tough, stay focused, and stay upright when the pressure arrived. Those traits became the quiet armor she would need when Hollywood started calling louder. In the late 1990s, it looked like she might go fully into tennis. Coaches saw potential. People around her believed she could go pro. She trained with that goal in mind and carried the weight of competition every day. But another part of her life kept growing. Acting roles were coming in more often. By 2002, she was 16 and already busy on television shows, including 8 Simple Rules. The choice came slowly and then all at once. She stepped away from tennis in 2002 and decided to make acting her future, surprising many who thought she would stay in the sports world. But she knew where she felt strongest. That one decision cleared a path that would eventually lead her to The Big Bang Theory and everything that came after. School was never simple for her. She felt different from the other kids almost from the start. By 5th grade, she switched to homeschooling to keep up with auditions, sets, and tournaments. It was easier and harder at the same time. Easier because she could keep moving. Harder because it isolated her. She finished high school at the age of 16, which sounds impressive on paper, but came with its own kind of loneliness. She never had a typical school life. Never really blended in. But that flexibility kept her career alive. It gave her the space to take bigger roles and never be held back by the bell schedule everyone else followed. Through all of this, her family stayed steady. Her father went with her to auditions. Her mother supported her choices and pushed her to stay kind even when the business wasn't. She kept the same agents, managers, and attorneys from age 15 onward, which almost never happens in Hollywood. Her younger sister, Brianna, soon moved into acting, too, turning the whole family into a tight little unit that helped her survive the early chaos. Having those people around her made it easier to move ahead and trust the road in front of her. She started working before she even turned 10. At 6, she appeared in Quicksand No Escape as Connie Reinhardt, acting next to Tim Matt and Donald Sutherland. The movie came out on March 4, 1992. That first experience gave her a glimpse of the world she would spend her whole life in. By 1995, she showed up again in the CI5 film Virtuosity, released on August 4, 1995, working alongside Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe. It was her film debut, small but meaningful because she was sharing the screen with major stars. In 1997, she popped up as a little girl in Picture Perfect with Jennifer Aniston. Her name tucked at the very end of the credits, yet still a sign that Hollywood was noticing her. These early roles stacked up fast, each one a step higher than the last. Her face kept showing up on TV throughout the 1990s. She played Miranda in Northern Exposure in 1990 when she was about 7. She appeared as young Angela in My So-Called Life in 1994. In 1995, she played a young version of Ellen DeGeneres in the Puppy episode of Ellen, which later became one of the most famous episodes in television history. She even popped onto Don't Forget Your Toothbrush in 1995. One guest role after another filled her schedule. She was studying, auditioning, filming, and still trying to feel normal among other kids who were not living anything close to her life. By the late 1990s, she had collected more than a dozen credits. It was a grind that almost no one outside the industry ever sees. From the start, casting directors saw her as the cute blonde side character. She played the sweet daughter in Quicksand, No Escape, the innocent kidnapped girl in Virtuosity, the adorable child in Picture Perfect. It kept happening through the 1990s. Cute, pretty, light-hearted, sometimes a little ditzy. That image stuck to her and it stayed there for years. When she landed the role of Penny in The Big Bang Theory in 2007, it almost felt like a continuation of what she had been cast as all along. Breaking out of that mold took more time and effort than anyone realized. Before that big moment, she drifted into teen TV. Disney Channel roles came in quickly. She starred in Toothless in 1997 and Alley Cat Strike in 2000, the bowling-themed movie that became something of a cult favorite among kids. In 2000, she also played Maureen McCormick in Growing Up Brady. Those roles made her familiar to young audiences and showed she could carry a TV movie without leaning on the cute blonde stereotype too much. By the early 2000s, she was getting recognized, yet still waiting for the job that would stick. Working through childhood came with a cost. She was homeschooled from 5th grade, earned her diploma at 16, and spent most of her days either acting or preparing to act. She missed out on normal teenage life. She felt like an outsider because she was always on a set or on the move. She has spoken about how heavy it felt to always be almost famous, but not quite there. The work was constant, the expectations were high, and the emotional toll stayed with her long after she grew into adulthood. Then came her first big shot. In September 2002, when she was 17, she landed the role of Bridget Hennessy on 8 Simple Rules. The show premiered with 17.3 million viewers and averaged 11.1 million during its first season, making it one of the biggest sitcom debuts of the year. She played Bridget, the funny and bold teenage daughter of John Ritter's character. Her timing, charm, and chemistry with Ritter caught everyone's attention. Practically overnight, she moved from steady work to real stardom. It felt like everything was finally lining up. But life shifted in a way no one expected. On September 11, 2003, during the filming of the show, John Ritter died suddenly at age 54 from an undiagnosed aortic dissection. He felt unwell during rehearsal, went to the hospital, and doctors mistook his symptoms for a heart attack. The anticoagulants they gave him only made things worse, and he passed away within hours. The shock hit the entire cast. Filming stopped. ABC decided to honor him by addressing his character's death in the second season. The grief of the cast blended with the grief of the storyline. Kay said later that this moment taught her how fragile life is and how quickly everything in this business can change. The show struggled afterward. Ratings fell from the strong numbers of season 1. By the third season, the average had dropped to around 7 million viewers. Even with James Garner joining the cast, the tone had changed. Fans missed Ritter. The energy was different. Haley watched this happen in real time and learned how easily a career can rise and fall with forces far beyond her control. When the show ended in 2005, she refused to fade out. She joined Charmed for its 8th season and played Billie Jenkins, a young witch thrown into the mix of an already beloved series. It was not a massive role, but it kept her visible and let her stretch into a different genre. It was a smart move, one that showed she was adaptable and willing to keep fighting for momentum. Still, doubts crept in. She wondered if she would ever step out of supporting roles. She wondered if her big chance had already come and gone with 8 Simple Rules. She feared being stuck while new stars took the spotlight. She carried those thoughts quietly, pushing through each audition. But she kept going, and that persistence carried her straight to the door that opened in 2007 when she stepped into the role of Penny on The Big Bang Theory. It proved that sometimes the hardest years build the strength you need for the moment that finally changes everything. When the show first came to life in 2007, the woman who lived across the hall was not Penny at all. She was someone called Katie, played by Amanda Walsh, and she carried a sharp edge that cut through every scene. She spoke without softness. She pushed without caring who she bruised. She used Leonard and Sheldon's kindness whenever she felt like it. And the audience felt it right away. They could not connect with her. They saw Leonard and Sheldon as nervous and gentle, almost like kids trying to figure out the world. So, a neighbor who treated them poorly felt wrong. Test audiences said she felt toxic. The creators knew they had a problem. Within weeks, they rewrote everything and let Katie go. That change opened a door for someone new, someone warmer, someone who could balance the world of two shy scientists with a little heart. So Penny stepped in. She came from Nebraska with big dreams and a softer touch. She was written as someone who could struggle and still smile through it. Someone who could make Leonard and Sheldon feel safer and braver just by being around. At first, Kaley Cuoco did not even want the role. She liked the darker version better. But when the writers reshaped the character and added humor and warmth, she changed her mind. The people in charge believed she was perfect. Her work in 8 Simple Rules and Charm showed she could carry both charm and timing. Soon she became the center of that small apartment building, and viewers felt it, too. Back then, her pay was simple. For the first 3 seasons from 2007 to 2009, she earned about $60,000 per episode, a total of roughly $3.78 million for 63 episodes. Johnny Galecki and Jim Parsons earned the same. It was good money, but nothing close to what waited ahead. Once the show reached season 4, she and the others renegotiated, and suddenly her income jumped to $200,000 per episode. With each season, the number kept rising, showing how quickly the audience grew and how smart the cast was about securing their future. During those early years, the show found its rhythm. In the first 2 seasons, it felt small and niche, but by the time season 3 arrived in 2009, the numbers shot past 15 million viewers each week. The reason was simple. The chemistry between Penny, Leonard, and Sheldon felt new and fresh. Viewers could not look away. Penny and Leonard's slow, awkward, often funny dance kept people interested. Sheldon and Penny's strange friendship became a highlight. Their opposite ways of seeing the world created moments that people talked about for weeks. That growing bond turned the show from a quiet comedy into a ratings giant. What most people did not know was that behind the scenes, Penny and Leonard had a secret. From 2008 to 2009, Kaley Cuoco and Johnny Galecki dated quietly. They kept it hidden so well that even some of the crew had no idea. Cuoco later admitted she liked him from the beginning. And scenes like the Nirvana annihilation brought them even closer. At one point, they even thought about marriage. They ended things in 2009, but stayed close. That hidden chapter made their on-screen chemistry feel more real, and fans sensed it long before they knew the truth. Money changed again once the show exploded. In the very beginning, Cuoco had earned only $45,000 per episode, but as the show grew, so did her value. By season 2, she was making $200,000 per episode. Her contract before season 4 included a rare automatic raise of $50,000 each year. It meant that with each season, her earnings rose on their own. By the time she entered season 5, she was already in a league far beyond most sitcom actors. Her pay for seasons 5 through 7 climbed from $250,000 to $300,000 and then to $350,000 per episode. Over those 3 seasons, she earned around $25.2 million. She also received a percentage of syndication profits, which added even more to her income. Only a few actresses in the world came close to her earnings at that time. She was now a major force in television. Then came the moment everyone remembers. By season 8 in 2014, Cuoco, Jim Parsons, and Johnny Galecki signed a deal for $1 million per episode. No sitcom cast had ever reached that level. The contract covered 72 episodes across seasons 8, 9, and 10 and brought her around $72 million. On top of that, she earned 1% of the show's back-end profits. The first year alone added another $10 million. By 2020, her net worth passed $100 million, placing her among the richest actors in television history. Yet, she surprised everyone in the final stretch. 4 seasons 11 and 12 from 2017 to 2019. She agreed to take a pay cut of $100,000 so that Mayim Bialik and Melissa Rao could be raised to $500,000 per episode. She gave up about $4.8 million in total. She said she never wanted her co-workers to feel less valued. That choice made Hollywood talk because generosity like that is rare. By 2022, her net worth was estimated around $110 million. Her total earnings from the show alone reached about $149 million. The rest came from partnerships like Priceal Line along with new work after the series ended. Her journey from sitcom actress to one of the wealthiest women on television became a story people still mention. But all that success almost came to an end in an instant. In September 2010, she went horseback riding at a ranch in Los Angeles. She loved riding. She felt safe on a horse. But that day, something went wrong. The horse got spooked and threw her off. As she hit the ground, the horse tried to jump over her and instead landed on her left leg. Her tibia and fibula snapped with so much force that paramedics could not remove her boot for more than 5 minutes. She later said the feeling was like falling on a pile of leaves and instantly knowing something terrible had happened. At the hospital, doctors faced a terrifying choice. Infection could spread fast. The fractures were open and severe. Amputation became a real possibility. Chuck Lorre later said it was the darkest moment he had seen in all 12 years of the show. Cuoco signed a waiver before surgery that allowed doctors to remove her leg if they needed to. She called that moment one of the scariest of her life. At Cullen Job in Los Angeles, Dr. Stephen Lombardo and his team worked quickly. They saved her leg, though they warned her she might never walk the same again. She went through 2 major surgeries. The first cleaned the wound and left her leg open for several days. The second inserted 2 metal rods that still remain inside her. She stayed in a cast and then a boot. Doctors predicted months before she would walk again. But within a week, she was already taking steps. The pain was intense, the therapy long, but she pushed through. She missed 2 episodes at the start of season 4 and returned to set still healing. The show used camera angles, counters, and large bags to hide her cast and keep her mostly still. They wrote scenes where she sat often or leaned or let others move around her. It was a scramble, but it kept the season alive. What viewers never saw was the emotional weight she carried. She had gone from full strength to barely walking. She had faced the possibility of losing her leg. She had felt her career hanging by a thread. That kind of fear stays with a person. She later said the scars make her feel strong, like she survived something that could have broken her. She learned to value her body differently. She learned to slow down and breathe. Most of all, she learned how fragile everything can be. Kaley Cuoco did not just walk away from The Big Bang Theory when it ended. She felt something stirring, something that pushed her to try a life she had never lived before. So, in October 2017, she created Yes Norman Productions and named it after her dog Norman. The one creature who had always felt like home. The moment she launched it, doors open. A multi-year first-look deal with Warner Brothers Television gave her freedom she had never tasted. Suddenly, she was not only reading scripts, she was shaping them. She stepped out of the sitcom world she had lived in for 12 years and moved towards something wider. In Beverly Hills, where the company settled, she built a space that welcomed different kinds of stories. Shows like Harley Quinn and The Flight Attendant grew out of that space. The work felt new and scary, but it also felt like hers. And before long, the industry started to notice as those projects pulled in praise and orders and more chances to grow. Everything changed again in November 2020 when The Flight Attendant arrived. It looked small at first, but then it exploded. The premiere pulled more than 4.5 million viewers, and people kept talking about it. They talked about her performance as Cassie Bowden, a woman caught in a murder mystery while spiraling inside her own life. They talked about the style, the tension, the bold choices, and the more they talked, the more awards followed. Emmy nominations, Critics' Choice nominations. It was the first time Kay carried a show as both star and executive producer. And the pressure hit her like a wave. Some days she felt confident. Other days she wondered if she could even breathe under all that weight. She was choosing casts, watching edits, steering the story, and still had to show up in front of the camera with the same fire every day. But she kept going because this was her leap beyond the safe box she had been placed in for so long. And when the praise came, it felt like proof that she had not only survived, but changed. Right after The Big Bang Theory ended, she ran straight into darker roles. Harley Quinn came first in November 2019. Her voice snapped and laughed and cracked with the wild edge the character needed. And she shaped the show behind the scenes, too. People loved it. Seasons kept coming. It moved to HBO Max in 2020 and gave her another space to show she did not belong to just one genre. Slowly, she built a reputation as someone who could handle comedy, drama, animation, and whatever else came her way. It surprised people who had only seen her as Penny. It did not surprise her at all. Money did not hold her back either. The Big Bang Theory paid her more than $150 million in base salary. By season 11, she was earning $900,000 an episode. She even took pay cuts at times so her co-stars could rise with her. That kind of wealth gave her freedom. It let her try things that might fail. It let her start Yes Norman Productions without fear of losing everything. She could chase projects that felt risky and strange and exciting. And she did it again and again because she finally understood that security can open doors, that talent alone cannot. Then her personal story folded in on itself. Her marriage to Ryan Swingerting began fast and ended fast. They met in August 2013, got engaged in September, and married on December 31, 2013. 3 months from meeting to engagement, 21 months from wedding to divorce. The split was announced in September 2015 and finalized on May 9, 2016. There was a prenup signed just a month before the wedding, so the end came quietly. She said later that she learned a lot about herself, especially what she needed and what she could no longer accept. Soon after came Kaley Cuoco. They met in late 2016. They got engaged on November 30, 2017, which was her 32nd birthday, and married on June 30, 2018. People loved them together. They posted photos and sweet notes and looked like a couple that would last. But in September 2021, they announced their split and the divorce was finalized on June 15, 2022. Later, she admitted that this breakup cut her deeper than anything before. It sent her into what she called a dark spiral. They had moved in together only a year before the divorce filing and still could not make it work. It left her empty and hurting. And for the first time, she understood how heavy loneliness can become. While she was filming season 2 of The Flight Attendant, the stress of the divorce showed up in her body. A rash spread across her skin. Her joints ached so badly she could barely walk. She said it was one of the darkest times of her life. Cassie, the character she played, was sinking emotionally, and Kay felt herself sinking, too. She kept working, even when the cameras stopped, and she had to sit down from the pain. Zosa Maymoth, her co-star and close friend, stepped in and even moved in with her to help. It became clear how tightly emotional pain can twist itself around the body. Eventually, Kay held a self-intervention. She walked into her trailer, gathered her producers, and said she needed help. The word surprised even her. She had always been the one who held things together, but now she could not. It was the first time she took therapy seriously, and it changed her life. She admitted that she had been lonely and depressed. She let herself cry. She let people support her. It made her stronger than she expected. She started talking openly about mental health, hoping her voice would make it easier for others to ask for help, too. Then something soft appeared in her life. In early 2022, she met Tom Pelphrey through their mutual manager, Andrea Pett Joseph. She said it felt like love at first sight. On May 3, 2022, he posted Polaroids of them on Instagram. She posted mountain photos. They both looked happy in a way that felt new. She said it felt like her life was either ending or just beginning. And then she realized it was beginning. On March 30, 2023, she gave birth to their daughter, Matilda Carmine Ritchie Pelphrey. She shared photos online and thanked the nurses and friends who helped her. Motherhood changed her again. Work paused. Life felt quieter and heavier in a sweet way. She posted photos of matching outfits and sleepy snuggles and wrote about how her world had shifted toward this tiny person. Soon after, she felt a sharp pain in her wrists. Doctors called it mommy wrist, an inflammation caused by holding a baby for long stretches of time. In July 2023, she posted a selfie wearing black wrist splints and teased herself for sulking. But she also explained the condition, helping other new mothers understand something many experience in silence. Her emotional struggles did not stop after giving birth. She had mood swings, anxiety, and days where she felt flattened. Therapy became part of her life. She said 2022 had been one of the hardest years she had ever lived. She had panic attacks. She cried often while filming scenes that mirrored her own pain. But Tom Pelphrey stayed by her side. And slowly she found balance again. By late 2025, she turned 40. There were surprise parties on both coasts. There were friends, family, and Tom who had proposed to her in August 2024. She said she felt like the most loved girl on the planet. They are still looking for the right project to work on together. They want something that fits both of them and does not feel forced. They say it will happen when the right idea arrives. Her net worth reached around $110 million by 2025 thanks to Big Bang earnings of $1 million per episode in the final seasons. Seasons 11 and 12 alone brought her $48 million. Ad endorsements with Priceline and Toyota, plus her production company, and the number grew higher. She bought a 40-acre horse ranch. She bought a $12 million Hidden Hills mansion in 2019 and sold it in 2022 for $16 million. On the outside, her life looked golden. On the inside, she was still learning how to breathe through heartbreak and pressure and expectation. The internet kept spinning its own story about her. After her divorce from Kaley Cuoco, videos titled Tragically Cuoco started popping up everywhere. They pulled pieces from her life and twisted them into viral sadness. They talked about her 2016 horse riding accident, her divorces, her depression. They showed her stress rash during The Flight Attendant, and the moment she begged her team for help. They mixed truth with exaggeration, turning her struggles into a spectacle. It hurt, But she kept speaking honestly because honesty felt like her only anchor. She said she never wanted to marry again. Yet, she still believed in love. She said that 2 painful divorces had changed her view of marriage, but not her hope for connection. Meeting Tom Pelphrey proved that hope had not left her. She shared that love could still grow after trauma, even if she no longer believed in vows on paper. People once called her a dumb blonde. Penny defined her for years, but by the 2020s, she had transformed into a respected producer and actress. Cassie Bowden, Harley Quinn, yes. Norman Productions. All of it showed that she had range and grit and a voice of her own. She pushed past the image the world placed on her and built a life that kept surprising everyone.